Thanks for watching. This is artist Mike Quinn, and this is Have Fun, Make Art with Mike Quinn. We're going to do a really cool sculpture today of a small pelican. I'm going to do a freestanding version. Comes together pretty quick, some simple tools and simple process to show you how. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So this is just a fresh block of clay. I'm going to just, do a small slab of it to get started. So what we're going to do is get this rolled out into a slab and carefully kind of go each direction to get the molecules all evenly dispersed inside of the clay where we're not going to have a crack. But I don't want to go too thin. I'm going to leave some thickness to it because I want it to be able to withstand standing up on its edge, and maybe even leave this one edge kind of fat on this edge, and then it tapers a little skinnier here. And then I'll just come back. I'm going to cut straight across and do a line this way and then a line this way, just kind of a triangular pyramid shape. And a lot of times you can save these pieces off to the side. These will be your other parts of your critter. But then we'll go ahead and stand this piece up. And then we kind of stick it back to itself. And a lot of time I like to tuck it along this edge so one side goes inside of the other. Just like that. And that's going to be the body. And go ahead and open this back up. You can see there's a slight impression where that slab touched it, and it gives me a guide. So then I'm going to just scratch up this interior piece, and then this front piece is going to get scratched up. And then I'm going to put some slip, but only on one side. Be generous with the slip. And then come back and compress that connection really well. And the idea is if you can smooth this out where you don't ever even see how it was put together, then you know you're probably good as far as the strength of it. So another trick we can do is pick it up and compress that connection from the inside as far as I can. Reach up in there and start imagining this is like the belly and the chest and the shoulders here up top. And once that connection gets smoothed out, let's use this tool and kind of break it smooth. You can see this clay's pretty soft, so we gotta have to work with pushing the dents back out. And I can use this to reach up in there and kind of push it out and help seal that connection. And we want it to be pretty even. You can feel the bumps as well as see the bumps, so you want to just kind of use your sense of feel a lot too. And then you notice I'm not using a lot of water to smooth it out either. So you add a lot of water to it and it's just going to turn into a big mud pile, especially when it's soft like it is right now. This is fresh clay. They date the box, and this clay is from this month, so it's especially fresh, which has its advantages and disadvantages. The longer the clay ages, they say the silkier it gets. So a true master potter will age their clay for years. They'll actually bury clay for their grandkids to use. So but this is a commercial brand clay. It's called Longhorn White. It's made in Austin, Texas at a place called Armadillo Clay. It's on East 4th Street in Austin. And I've been buying my clay there for about 30 years. And I'm sold on it. It's very forgiving stuff. It fires pretty easily and great quality, consistent quality. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over here and we can start doing the beak. Get it over on this piece of paper. You can see it's kind of like a little hobbit hat shape. Okay, so we changed camera angles, give you a little better view, and you can see these are the scraps that I had left over, and I think this piece right here is probably a good size for the beak. So I'm just gonna roll it up, and I try not to change it too much as far as the taper of it, but just turn it into this little cone and roll it out with my hands, tapered, thinking about I don't want it any longer than that is tall. So I'll just kind of try and get it even. And then we're gonna move back over here. You can see this shape. And so one of the little tricks that I'll do is I'll just drop it. And that gives you a nice flat. And then drop it about the same height. Maybe hit it a little more square. And then I'm gonna drop it one more time on this bottom piece. And you see, you pretty much got the beak right there. And then we're gonna size him up and see, okay, he's gonna be about like that. And then I can get rid of this top piece. Same thing, Okay, so we changed camera angle a little bit to give you a better perspective on what's going on. So I've got the body roughed in, I got the beak here, and so now I'm just gonna disconnect it, lay it down on this piece of paper, and carefully smooth it out. Maybe use this moist towel. Don't want to use a whole lot of water, but just a little layer of moisture can help smooth it out. I use the edge of my thumb a lot, just dragging it lightly across there, compressing it on both sides, really trying to get this thing pretty clean before I put it on there. I might drop it just to take that angle off the bottom a little bit. And as you see, I've got this little crease here. I get this all ready, and you can see the old impression of where it was sitting. So then I'll take the little pointer tool and kind of scratch up here. And I'm not going to go all the way because I'm going to try and leave the beak sticking out into space somewhat. Hopefully, if I can get it to cooperate. So then I'm going to come and scratch this piece up. It's basically just an X. So 45 degrees one angle and 45 back in the opposite. And I'll take the slip and I will liberally apply it, but only on one side. I'm going to take this piece, trying to keep it straight and pretty, and then set it on here and compress it without distorting it too much either. So it's a balance there of getting enough adhesion but not crushing the hollow shape there. So then I'll just kind of take that slip out of the groove, come to this side, pull it out of there, smooth it again. It's coming together here, so then I'll turn it. You kind of start seeing so this will be his feathers coming off the back. And then we can do some shoulders, wings. And I'm just gonna basically do it like a cone. I'll throw it like that. Smooth it out. And then we're gonna try that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so that one's pretty decent. Do the same thing. Go down. He's got wings. Okay. And we'll start doing some feet. The feet are basically webbed. And so to do a webbed foot, a lot of times I'll just use my finger, kind of go between like that. And then come back with the knife, cut out these divots, and use my little wooden knife here. I'm going to cut in the little claws, pointing them out. is going to be that foot. So just kind of set that in place. Get another foot going. And we're going to say, okay, this is my finger again. That only gives him 4 toes. I have to look at a picture. Or there's 3 on that guy. So let's go 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to make the claw. Right there. And then you can see how that's got a curve at the bottom. So what I want to do with the feet is come and cut a little curve in it so that they fit flush. And do the same thing, kind of push it on there. And then I can see the mark, just a faint line of where it was touching. And scratch these guys up. Just make that X. Put your slip on, compress that connection. And you know, this is a rough draft, so we come back and we can work all these little details more after we get it put together. And take this tool and just kind of come along this connection, take that slip out, and come back here. We're going to cut that round into that foot. See where it fits. So that looks good. And then come around and scratch up that spot. Scratch up the back. Just doing an X. Little slip. And then I'm gonna compress it. And that's the really important part on this, especially the feet. The feet are going to be fragile because they're sticking out of the bottom here. You really want to make sure that's a solid connection. And one of the tricks you can do is hopefully you can pick it up and reconnect them even more. Just really connect it from the bottom too. Come around and smooth it out on that bottom piece. Make sure that those feet are well connected because that's a fragile spot on this little design. And now we can glue the wings on. Same thing, it's going to leave a slight impression. And I'm going to just scratch it up, scratch it up. Put a little slip and compress it. Okay. You can see the body being so soft, we have to be careful not to. And look, that one wing, he's got a strange pose now. He looks a little uncomfortable, but I'm gonna lower that wing to match, lower this to match the other wing. So I'm just gonna scratch it out, around and scratch up this side. We don't have to go all the way to the bottom, just as long as there's a nice section of it that is attached. That's all you need. And we check it's still, don't want to go, it wants to be somewhat even with the other one. So we got the head, the beak, the feet, the wings. And then for the final really cool effect, and it's actually kind of a shortcut, is instead of worrying about putting eyeballs and eyelids and all those minuscule details, a lot of times on a pelican, since they're at the beach a lot, is I just do sunglasses. So the way we do sunglasses, just roll this piece out. And then I'm gonna roll out these ends for the edge of the sunglasses, pinch in the middle, and then squish out for the lenses. Like that. You see it's starting to make glasses. And then I'll come over here and I'll make that corner. Come over here and we'll make this corner. And do a dry fit. That's pretty cute. And then, let's see, I'm gonna use this tool. Take them back off. One of the things I like to do is to define these lenses a little better. So I'm just gonna stick the tool in there and scratch it around the edge to make these lenses stand out, and then when I go to paint it or glaze it, it'll read more like goggles. Got a little tiny spot there. Okay, so we got some goggles. Look at it. Let's see what we think. I might just kind of go around and work on some of these other details and think about if those are the sunglasses I really want to use. I could probably make another pair. I'm not crazy about those, but a good start nonetheless. Just coming back and kind of trying to hide that seam. Don't ever want to see the seam. That's one of the things I like about this design is it comes together pretty quick, and when you put this beak on there, it actually hides the seam from when you built the body. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to define the beak and the edge of the mouth. So I'll just start here. And then I want to come right here and really push in pretty hard. He's got a beak. Coming around to this side. I'm going to just try and do what I did there on the other side. I'm going to push in really hard and get some depth. Give him some little tiny nostrils. And the next thing we can start working on is we'll do some feathers. If you wet your tool, get it nice and slick, it'll have a tendency to just glide through the clay a lot better. Still needs smoothing. And then I can come back, straighten out his glasses so they're still pretty, and I can just pinch those on, and those are stuck forever. Then I'm going to come back and fix the feet. Use this wood wood tool to help redefine the webbing. That's the one advantage of working on paper. It really keeps the clay from wanting to stick. You can push into it and it's gonna peel right back off. Got web feet. Then I'll come in and do some little texture on the top of the toes, just to make them look like more pelicanish. And that shows you the webbing is smooth and thin. And the feet are kind of wrinkly. So it's coming together. Just gonna have to come back through and look for any little rough spots. Oh, almost forgot. There's one more thing it needs. And it needs the tail feathers. We give them a lot of expression with those wings, you know, kind of turn it and make them have some attitude. Now that they're attached, you can kind of start spreading them out a little. But you want them to still look like wings. But I like kind of doing those shoulders up, like he's got some attitude. And then for the tail, very simple process for the tail. Just gonna roll out this little piece. And I'm gonna cut this way and this way. Little circle. And then I'm going to take this tool. I'm going to just break this up into tail feathers. Roughly the same. Stab it on. And you can see this little mark that it made. Scratch that. Come back and scratch here. Put some slip. This clay is really moist. Almost don't even have to use slip because it's so gummy. But it's good insurance to make sure that piece stays put. Nice little effect you can do is come back and then just dent in on the division there to kind of really show the separation of the feathers. A dignified tail. Really compress it in. And just looking for any of this rough stuff. That's a problem area right there. Okay, so it's basically complete now. We've got all the parts on here. Got the sunglasses, the beaks dialed in. We have the basic body and wings. I see a few things that I'd still need to go and remedy, like this little line where it needs to kind of eliminate that connection line where you don't see it, and this one needs the same, and that'll help it just look better and also be stronger. And then all these little details, like cleaning out these gullies, trying to make a uniform depth and thickness, and then coming in and really dividing these tail feathers, I think helps it read more like feathers. And let's see, then on the other side, you can see how this one wing is kind of blended in, so I want to redefine that edge. So just kind of run this tool up here, but not all the way, just to re-show that wing is separate. And I could even come back and do kind of that outer bone and then a few stripes for the feathers, primary and secondary flight feathers. Come back and do the same here. These feathers kind of held in. You can do this on the tail feathers. We'll come and split each one of these. And let's see, what else? A nice little trick. You could use just a nice round number 4 brush. Get some of this clay water and come back and you can brush out some of that roughness with the brush. Helps you really get it super smooth, better than you can do with your finger. Just kind of go around and smooth it out with that brush is a little secret. And then what else? Just kind of come back and redefining all these little different parts. Make sure that there's some separation to show the claw. You don't want to make them too sharp, too pointy, because they'll have a tendency to break off. But that's pretty much it. That's the freestanding pelican, and this can, be made in a 6-inch version, or you could go all the way to 6 foot tall with the same formula. It's just basic parts, some basic tools. Got the wet cloth and a knife and a pointer, a little brush, some slip, and a rolling pin, and you can have this in a relatively short amount of time, and hopefully it's something that inspires you and makes you want to build other interesting creatures.